I thought today that we might ink outside the box, and by that I mean take ourselves back to when we were kids and try and color inside the lines for once. I want to talk about why I think ink choice is just as important as the other color choices when customizing your dice, and maybe I can change the way you ink with an example or two. Do you find yourself in a sea of mediocre dice? I do that all the time. I find my favorites and then all the other dice that I've spent a lot of money on just sit there and do nothing. And I truly don't think that that has to be the case. One man's trash can be that same man's treasure if he'd open his fucking eyes for once. I promise you that you have some dice lying around that can be used for any character with just a little bit of tweaking, and I think that that solution is re-inking. Now this video is going to be a bit different than how I normally structure my videos, but I thought re-inking deserved its own topic, and most of the dice that you're going to see in here come in one of those $10 for 20 different style of dice sets pack. So this is a very cheap test that we can run to really see, is re-inking worth it to change really everything about the dice. Large dice companies often ink white or black so that you can focus on the main color or two of the dice, but that's lacking in ambition, and we can change a lot with just changing that one or two colors. So I want to get started, and so that you know, re-inking is changing the color of the numbers on the dice, and we're going to do that by changing the color on these Eye of Sauron dice from an old Lord of the Rings set. Now I have 3 different types of gold, and even here you're saying gold, which I often re-ink in gold. If you know this channel at all, I like gold. But even here, the type and color matters. The Retributor armor is the darkest of these, where the Auric armor or the Liberator armor are very much lighter golds, so that would change it a little bit too drastically for me, so I wanted to go with a darkish bronze gold with the Retributor armor. I think it still keeps that kind of evil feel to the dice, but also leaves it a little bit rustic or more Bronze Age-ish, whereas the gold is, you know, that's more of an elvish color. I wouldn't want that. And the way I do it is I just throw a lot of paint on there and wipe off the excess with my finger. That seems to get it done most of the time. I will say that this older dice had a really hard time taking the paint by putting it on there, so you may have to go in for 2 coats. In this case, I was actually fine with it, and there's another solution that you can do, which is taking some isopropyl alcohol on a tissue or a shop cloth like I use here, and wiping off the ends to make sure that you have a nice clean surface. I wanted to start with these 2 dice so that you can see 2 of the exact same dice, one changed and one not, and how big of a difference that really makes. Now, there's some of the paint that chipped off in the inside of these pips. Again, it's an older dice. I don't know what happened. I personally think it's dope, but because art and beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you might say it's garbage, and that's okay too. I'm going to show you a few other examples of different styles that you can do, like something with a paint pen. A lot of people like to use these paint pens, and I found one with an extra fine point so that I could try and get just in the numbers. But you can see even there, a lot of the paint came outside of the number, and I was thinking, well, I'm going to have to wipe it off anyway, and a lot of people do. But one thing that you got to be wary of with things like Chessex dice, they have really thin or shallow number depths. Even with this D6 here, it's not very deep, and so a lot of paint likes to come on the outside, or if you're wiping off the paint like you do with the other ones, you have to be very careful because a lot of the numbers will still show whatever paint was underneath. So you can see when I wipe this one off here, there's still a lot of white underneath this, the original color. Now there's ways to remove that. There's some chemicals that you can order online, and you just set your dice in there and it will dissolve the underneath paint. So if you really like a specific dice and it's got some shallow numbers and you want to get just one color under there, you can do that. And I'm happy to show that in the future, but for now I'm just going to chuck those. Experimentation is the name of the game, so I tried mixing paint and mica powder. That didn't really work out so well. I even tried to mix some glossy gel medium and some ultra holographic glitter, which didn't really work. However, that is the most satisfying thing in the world to watch mixing, so you're welcome for that. But now that we've experimented, let me show you some changes that you can do with some sets. So I'm going to use this lightish white blue horror to change my old Tempest Cleric set. It's black, blue, and gold. Changing just the gold on there will change the entirety of the set, and it's painful for me to change gold, so you know it's worth it to do. Changing just the gold to this white blue changes the entire feel of this set of dice. What was once for a cleric is now perfect for an ice sorcerer or a Triton fighter. He is now this amazing warrior of the sea, or she is this creator of tempests out in the world without using clerical magic, purely by changing the gold to a light blue set. Now, also, you can maybe use some colors that you wouldn't normally think together. Light blue and that kind of blue and black, of course I would think of that, but red and purple and silver, I wouldn't have naturally thought of that, but I just kind of randomly picked a color and I wanted to see how it turned out. On the face of this is almost hard to read, but it is vile looking. I have a tiefling female warlock character who is just an evil, evil lady, and this set fits it fits so well for her. I fell in love with this set. It's not the prettiest and it's kind of hard to read, and you can see a little bit of the white underneath because I wiped off extra on there, but I think it gives it that kind of comic book style of blood, and this is just through experimentation. I didn't even wipe off a lot of the excess red on the dice because it looks like blood on the dice, and that fits with the character way more than the just base white that came with this dice, and that cost me pennies in terms of paint. Let's do another example. I used to have this red, black, and gold set that I use for a Dragonborn Paladin, and with one color change we can fit a brand new character. Now this other character likes iron, so I could use silver or lead belcher, but I ended up going with lead belcher purely because it fit with the character a little bit more. And this character is a fighter beastmaster combo who has a drake. He is all about fire and proving himself through coat of arms, and you can see that gold wouldn't really have fit that character's motif, but adding lead belcher to it, now I have a perfect set for my character. And again, pennies, and this is what I'm talking about here. You kind of get the theme. This transparent green set, I'm going to put some auric armor gold on, and I will say, as I was experimenting with this, I kind of got frustrated by how much white was showing without having to remove the paint underneath. And that's my own fault. I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to keep this as an experiment, doing it all on the cheap. So you can see some of the white, but that bred to further experimentation. I did something that I hadn't seen many people do online, and I experimented with doing a two-tone set with this brown one. Now, you're always given a one color set of dice with a lot of these cheap ones, so I'm going to take some cheap Walmart paint to show that you can really do this with anything, and only paint half of the colors on each of the numbers. And I was blown away by how much of a difference this makes for a one color dice. This brown yuck dice that I would never think to pick up or use is now possibly one of my favorites, and it fits so well for a druid or ranger character, and that was just through some experimentation. I tried this on some other ones, which you'll see here soon, but honestly, this is kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Re-inking can turn this brown set that I would have given away because I didn't want it into what is now one of my favorites and makes me want to play a druid, which I've never said in my life. Now I tried another set and I asked Google what the complement to yellow was, and they told me purple, so I put some purple on there. And I guess if you're a big fan of the old Utah Jazz or the LA Lakers, that this is a decent color combination. It's not my favorite, however, I can totally see a yellow and purple bard combo turning into an awesome yellow purple dice set. Again, this is not for me. However, it could absolutely be for you, and I can definitely see a kind of purple tiefling bard motif out of this. I will say though, with these cheaper sets, sometimes you just gotta pick your battles. I mean, there's no way you're gonna get a nice inking on this one. Half the numbers are just missing, so I just scrapped this whole purple set. I know I said I was gonna do it from the beginning by showing you, but you know, we're just gonna go with this plain red set. Again, a set that I would never pick up, and a paint that I would honestly never use to ink. The most yellow paint that I've ever seen. It's like a banana Laffy Taffy turned into a paint. Turn this into the most popcorn looking number combo by using white and yellow. However, I will say, for some reason, it is just amazing to me. This yellow, white, red, I was going for like a sunset motif here, but for some reason it makes me think of Sun Tzu's The Art of War. If there's anybody who can tell me why it makes me think of that, I'd be all ears, but I don't know. It makes me want to play an Asian-themed fighter character with samurai swords, or maybe just a samurai fighter, and I love it. The fact that I was going to throw this set out and now I have a brand new character that I want to play is marvelous. I was even going to originally re-ink my very first set that I purchased, but I just don't have the gonads to do it. Sometimes re-inking isn't worth it, and that's why you got to make that choice. But sometimes it can bring out a whole new life, and that's something that you should think about. That's the whole point of this video. Definitely not that my planned video isn't working and I'm having troubles and need an extra week to work on that. Not at all. This is just a topic that I did want to get to at some point, and I had time to do it because the other one needs an extra week to cook. It's a UV resin video, and it ain't working, so I had to have an extra week, and I wanted to be able to get to this one, so now we got to it. Maybe you can think about how to breathe some new life into your dice, and if you can send me some before and after pictures of some old dice that you had that you re-inked to give new life to for a new character, I'd love to see that. I love seeing changes in what people can do and turn some old resources into something new, especially right now where buying new things isn't always available, but just using some of the resources that you have at home to make a new setup for yourself and feel like you've got something new to do is wonderful, and it might give you something to do. So if you want to send those to me on Twitter, Instagram, I'd love to see them. Thank you so much to my patrons who support this channel, and thank you for watching. Maybe subscribe if you want to learn how to make your own dice or many other tabletop things. That's kind of what we do here on the channel. I know this video was different than my normal style, but I had fun making it, and I really hope that you enjoyed watching it. I hope that everybody stays safe out there. It's kind of a rough time, and I hope this is just something that can give you some ideas with some resources that you have at home. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a fantastic day.